Welcome everybody to the third and final game in this best of three match series between SeedSG, who's spawning as the red Protoss down in the bottom right position, against his blue Terran opponent HannibalPrime in the top left. Now we are going to be watching this match take place on the map Shakuras Plateau, one of the maps in the Blizzard ladder rotation, which is actually a pretty cool map. I do like it a lot. Pretty wide open main base area with one ramp leading down to the natural expansion, another slightly wider ramp leading down into the central area, which you can see is mirrored four different ways. Pretty much the same thing. You've also got, here's your third base for each expansion right there, followed by another base right here in the middle, which coincidentally is very near one of the changes in Shakuras Plateau. They did remove the ramps, the backdoor entrances to the bases. They moved the ramps down here. But you'll notice one thing that, I don't know, this kind of bugs me a little bit. This right here is wider than this right here. Something to watch out for. Just saying. Just saying. Not the same down here, though. You see, that's even. But it's not too huge of an issue. We might see that actually come into play. We might not. It's such a small thing right now. With these guys spawning in the different positions that they are, I'm not entirely convinced that'll be a giant problem. But for this game, though, let's take a look at Seed and see what kind of opening he's doing right now. We see he's at 14 supply. Probably dropping in a simulator here in just a second or two. Sure enough, there we go. Going for what's looking to be a pretty standard opener, especially compared to the previous two games he's opened up pretty much exclusively like this. Except for game number 2, I think the gateway's a little bit delayed, simply because of the fact that he got that expansion pretty darn early, which I guess won't be too much of a spoiler, since I'm assuming that if you're watching game number 3, you probably already will watch game number 1 and 2, which took place on Icy Cup Test Bug and not Shakuras Plateau, and on GSL Crevasse, respectively. So SeedSG coming over here, scouting out the Terran players, seeing for the first time in this match set the entire Terran base, and Terran's like, alright, Probe is gone, it's time to drop that second geyser right there. And Protoss realizes, alright, I've got to get up here and see if I can scout any more get any more information. It's not going to be the case, though. The Marine is here, ready to go, and there's not going to be any more scouting for the Protoss player. Now, look at this probe is actually heading down southwest. What's exactly he's going to be doing? I'm not too sure. You see, he's dropped that second geyser, and the Terran player knows that. Sees that right there. He's already got the probes ready and transferred onto it. So Terran's probably thinking, all right, Protoss going with a pretty standard build. We'll try to keep this SCV around as long as possible. Not too worried about Stalker just yet. He knows that what's coming out of this is going to be a Zealot, as the Cybernetics Core just completed a moment or two ago. Now down here, we do have a proxy pylon hidden way down in what is most likely a low traffic area. Of course, if either player decides to go for a drop, you know, they might decide to send the units along the outer edge of the map here. But for now, I'd say this one is actually pretty darn secure. We see a Twilight Council has gone down, and given the fact that he's got one gateway over here, he's working on that warp gate technology. He's been working on 2 assimilators for a while now. We're probably going to be seeing something along the lines of a DT build. If he were going to be going with something like 3-gate, Blank Stalker, something like that, you'd probably have, a little bit of a different chain, or a little bit different build order. But for now, I'm going to stick with the Dark Shrine popping up right there. Sure enough, there we go, as a probe surround going to be taking place on the Reaper, which apparently just does not feel like running away from probes. All right, well, that works for me. We see a little bit of harassment coming over here from the Protoss player. Not going to be super effective. I mean, you got the 2 Marines here at the bunker. They're just not going to be able to break through. And instead, the Zealot actually... Oh, man. Don't think the Zealot actually caught that starport. No, it did not. Cool. All right, so the Protoss did not see that starport, did not see that second barracks, and now the Terran is ready to continue on doing his own thing, throwing down that reactor. Might decide to switch that up, try to get siege tech as we've seen in the previous 2 games. Now, Protoss does have a nicely positioned pylon right here, where he'll be able to warping units very close to the Terran base and put some pressure on. Now, looking at the base kind of layout right now, you don't see any detection. He's got 10 energy. We do have the starport working on a medevac right now, and also a bunch of SCVs just kind of hanging out right here, ready to repair. Now, the Terran player is probably thinking to himself, all right, you know what, there might be an attack coming at some point here, simply because of the fact 2 geysers, 2 warp gates, You know, he's seen pretty much everything right here. And he knows, all right, something... Rather, it's something the lack of something. Something's missing with this build. What am I missing here? And it's probably some sort of hidden play somewhere or another. And so having those SCVs at the ramp is always a good idea. Sure enough, you see the DTs are actually trying to bust through the bunker. Will they be able to? It looks like they are actually keeping up with the SCVs repairing it. More SCVs are coming off the line. One of them actually wasn't even repairing. And now the DTs have busted through the Terran line and could put an end to this game. It looks like the Terran player doesn't quite have enough energy for a scan. Now he does, hitting it right there. And look at that nice DT split, forcing to the units to go in 2 different directions. And only one DT was actually killed. We see a Raven was just starting to build a moment or two ago. It's going to be a long time before it is actually out. So this DT is going to have just a heyday running around in this Terran base. You see he's actually going to be going for the tech lab, but not before the siege tech finishes. You can see Terran lifted up that tank to make sure he doesn't lose it to the DT, who is still giving pursuit. Look at all those SCVs coming right here. You know, he's running them around, trying to stay away from that DT for as long as possible here. Now, finally, that Raven is completed. And, oh, not completed just yet, but just about completed there. 3, 2, 1, and Raven time. Dropping the auto turret. Good choice on that. Able to get some detection with the Raven. Drop down that auto turret, which will last for a good couple minutes here. That'll afford him some defenses while he is rebuilding his base. You see, having lost that tech lab, you know, that's going to be apparently not too huge of a loss here, as we see actually pretty good move by the Terran player, choosing instead to go ahead and swap down the factory onto the tech lab, since he's probably not going to have much use otherwise for the thing. Since so far in game number 1 and 2, we've seen him use the starport primarily for medevacs. The Raven was pretty much just an exception because of the DT harassment. So looking at the income tab right now, we can see that neither player has expanded just yet. We're sitting about even, 34 to 22. That's the power of the mule for you, able to keep up right there, despite the harvester disadvantage that the Terran player is currently at. Meanwhile, Protoss is deciding to go ahead and go with the Templar Archives. Maybe looking to get some Psystorm to finish off what he's expecting to be small bunches of Marines. Judging by the 2 add-ons right there, I think that can be expected, and what also can be expected is the death of this DT. Stem Marines with the Raven, sure enough, there we go, kersplat. This stuff's still sitting pretty good. You can see the charge upgrade is on the way for the Zealots. That'll actually help a lot with the Marines, the siege tanks in general. Just get in there and start smashing the units as hard as possible. Combined with maybe a force field or 2, keep them contained, make sure they don't run away, anything like that, kiting and the like. All in all, looking pretty good for the Protoss player. Terran over here, you know, he's still building up. He's not too worried right now, but you see he might be moving out actually to put a little bit of pressure on the Protoss forces. You know, all that money that was put into that early attack, you know, it did set the Protoss forces back just a tiny bit because of the fact, like I said, he had to go so far down the tech tree, dump all that gas into the Dark Shrine and the DTs as well. And it's really unfortunate for the Protoss player that he wasn't able to kill that tech lab in time to stop that siege tech research from being completed. We see now, though, the Terran player is looking to move out. Protoss actually sees that, tries to pull his probe back. Will it actually survive, though? No, don't think it will. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, there we go. But it does give the Protoss enough warning to say, okay, well, I'm in a bit of a pickle here. He's got 2 High Templar that he warped in a little while ago. You can tell by the energy there. They don't have the Kaidaran Amulet anymore, so those have been sitting there for a little while, building up, ready for Psystorm. Meanwhile, Terran actually might take out this expansion here, as it is looking pretty interesting, although Protoss is pretty confident that he's going to be able to come out here with the charge load upgrade complete, and also the Guardian Shield, allowing the Zealots to just come down here, despite the fact that the Marines are kiting them away. Psystorm just beautifully placed on top of the Marines. Zealots able to take out those tanks and put an end to that attack. Oh, so very close on that feedback. You can see it's sitting at 26 hit points right now. I'm sure that he'll be able to get that back to base here in a minute or 2. Meanwhile, you see Terran actually dropping another barracks. He may decide to go ahead and get the combat shields upgrade that'll help a little bit in dealing with the Psystorm, just buying him an extra second or 2 at best. but every second counts as the Protoss force may decide to try to charge up the ramp. I don't know if that's going to work out so well for him, though. He's got a decent bit of Marines up here, and also with the one siege tank. I think he has another one popping out here just a second. Yeah, sure enough, 2 siege tanks and these Marines with this wall right here, reinforced with the fact that part of it is a starport, means this is not going to be an easy wall to get through, even with a Psystorm, which you see the Templar are actually trying to land one right there. There's the stem with the Marines managing to escape, and there's the force field right now trying to make sure Protoss can escape safely, realizing I'm not going to be able to bust through that, and looks like he's going to go ahead and drop down a reactor to get even more Marines. Alright, well, we're just going to continue on with this Marine Siege Tank and Medevac. Still have that Raven, though. Definitely do not want to lose that. Now, looking at the income, since Protoss has managed to secure this expansion, we see 40 to 27. Protoss is kind of spiking at 1,000 minerals per minute there. Now, most noticeably, he does have double the gas income for the Terran player. So Terran is going to be at a pretty huge disadvantage for that, looking at tech as we do getting ready to go past the 16-minute mark here. APM right now, 216 to 178. Units lost. You can see it's actually relatively close. Protoss suffering just slightly fewer losses, actually. Probably just a tiny little amount there. Robotics facility coming down the line that'll be able to allow the Protoss to get some Colossi. And look at all the SCVs coming off the line, ready to go and join the assault for the Terran player, who kind of has his forces a little bit stretched out here. Let's see what's going to happen. We do have the Protoss. The bulk of his forces right here. You can see he's got 5 High Templar, a couple Stalkers there. Here comes the Terran. You can see SCVs moving in way ahead of the rest of the forces. That's not asking for a storm. That and that siege tank's getting ready to morph up. But look at all the High Templar, a giant ball right there. The tank's actually focusing down 3 of the 5 Templar with the first volley. That is a huge hit. Despite that, wow. Terran actually lost most of the siege tanks there. Well, actually didn't lose too many forces, but you see the Marines and what he's facing right here. He's facing an uphill fight with the Stalkers here at the high ground, and the auto turret definitely helped. The Terran is going to push back. May take out this expansion, actually. Looking at the unit composition right now, you can see he's got the 2 High Templar, but they don't have enough energy for a Psystorm. So he's pretty much at the mercy of these Marines, who you can see are very, very much hell-bent on taking out this expansion. Does not want the Protoss to have an economic advantage. A pretty heavy loss in the probes right there now as well. We see the impact of that attack right there. Resources lost for Protoss definitely higher. There's one Psystorm landing and taking out a number of Marines, taking even more low health. Oh man, perfect storm right there. Zealots are able to just come in, charge, and finish it off. Medevacs simply cannot keep up with that. You see, we're actually going to lose another one right there, and now all the Medevacs are gone. Terran is trying his best to micro those Marines, but you see, looking at the income right now, he is definitely hurting, as well as the Protoss, you see, who is just about out of minerals. Terran has a few more up here, but nonetheless, it's a really bad situation for the Terran player right now. Looking at the army size, 54 to 23. Look at that the minerals and gas invested in the Terran army. He does not have squat. We can actually see the comparison right there as Protoss looks to actually, oh wow, good play by that. He had the Zealot up there, keep the foot on the depot so it could not raise up. Only one of them could, and there's the GG from HannibalPrime. So SeedSG is going to go on to the next round where he will face his opponent. You'll just have to tune in and find out who it is. All right, thanks for watching.